Hey everyone, welcome back to Unapologetic Catholic, where we deep dive into faith, reason, and culture, exploring what it means to live unapologetically Catholic. Today we're doing something a little different. A Catholic review of the new Netflix movie, Mary, the Mother of God. Now, it's not every day that Hollywood tries to tell a story about Our Lady, so naturally, we had to check it out. And let's just say, it's a bit of a roller coaster. It starts off well, but quickly goes downhill. So here are some things the movie got right and others that really missed the mark. Now, to its credit, the film opens with some genuinely interesting historical details. It doesn't begin with Mary herself, but zooms out to her parents, Saints Anne and Joachim, depicting their encounter with the angel Gabriel, announcing Mary's birth. We also see King Herod, the Idumean tyrant puppet king, and references to the Hasmonean dynasty, including Herod's wife Miriamne and her brother Aristobulus, whom Herod appoints as high priest. These details, largely taken from Jewish historical accounts like those of Josephus and the non-canonical Proto-Evangelium of James, provide an added cultural and political context, especially for those unfamiliar with the world into which Jesus would be born. But then things get strange. Somehow, everyone in Mary's town already knows she's pregnant and that her child is the Messiah. That contradicts the Gospel's emphasis on secrecy. Instead of the Magi revealing Jesus' birth to Herod, it's a servant girl who tells him about the star. Herod doesn't pretend to be reverent. Instead, he mocks the idea of a newborn king and calls himself the only Messiah you need. He sends an officer to hunt Mary like a fugitive and kills Joachim, none of which is in scripture or tradition. These aren't minor creative liberties, they dramatically rewrite the biblical narrative. Now, with a title like Mary, the Mother of Jesus, Mary is of course the main character, right? It tries to show us what a young teenager girl would have felt given the circumstances. She was afraid and confused, and yet she was also courageous and brave and willing to protect her child. However, she also has moments where she comes across as misunderstood, rebellious, and frustrated with the religious structure. At one point, she says, "How can I do anything important if I'm stuck in here?" With here referring to the temple. That line might fit a modern teenager, but not the Blessed Virgin Mary, a faithful and reverent first century Jewish girl. For her, temple service would have been a sacred honor, not a restriction. Scripture shows her not as defiant, but humble and obedient. In Luke chapter 1 verse 38, she says, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord." Her greatness lies in her surrender, not her independence. The film sacrifices her true strength, the quiet, powerful, yet humble soul fully conformed to God's will. Now, let's move on to Joseph. At first, he is portrayed as loyal, protective, and courageous. He is the one who convinces Anne and Joachim to allow Mary's betrothal after he mentions a visit from the man in the blue robe. But after Mary becomes pregnant, scripture is completely abandoned. There is no angelic dream reassuring Joseph, no divine calling to accept Mary and to become the foster father of Jesus. Instead, he immediately becomes her protector, even fighting a mob trying to stone her. Later, he takes the title Terror of Demons quite literally when he stabs the demon who kidnaps Mary. Yes, you heard that right. Joseph stabs the devil. It's entertaining, but not biblical at all. In reality, Joseph's virtue lies not in violence, but in obedient silence. He listens to the angel and quietly takes Mary as his wife. He is chaste, pure, patient, faithful, and obedient. Joseph isn't the biblical version of Liam Neeson from Taken. He is a silent guardian, not a violent action hero. Now, let's pivot to angels and demons. Archangel Gabriel looks less like a heavenly messenger and more like a character from Assassin's Creed. Shadowy, stern, and unsettling. Not majestic, not awe-inspiring, almost more like an ominous figure than a messenger from God. But scripture tells us in Luke chapter 1 verse 30 that Gabriel comforts Mary. And the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." In the Bible, when angels appear, people fall on their faces in fear, not because the angels are spooky, but because they radiate God's glory. Gabriel just keeps popping in and out like he's another guy in town. When Joachim sees him the first time, he seems so confused, but that's about it. Anne has even less of a reaction. She smiles knowingly. Mary also barely has any reaction. At several points in the film, Anne, Mary, and even Joseph both refer to Gabriel as the man in the blue robe. It's as if he's just some random guy they met at the well. It completely downplays the reality of the supernatural. Then there's Lucifer. Early on, he appears in the temple and tries to tempt Mary. Gabriel confronts him and even calls him brother. Lucifer commands Gabriel to leave, and the two angels engage in an intense stare down before both mysteriously vanish. Oh, and later, Lucifer gets stabbed by the Joseph, if I failed to mention that. These moments might play well in a fantasy cinema, but in a biblical drama, they trivialize spiritual warfare and reduce it to something out of the Avengers. Now, let's move on to the Annunciation scene. We see Mary complaining about marrying a total stranger. But in her time, arranged marriages were normal. Then comes the actual Annunciation scene. It's a rainy night, Mary's crying in bed and says, "Why does God speak only to others?" She's then visited once again by the man in the blue robe. When he tells Mary that she'll be a mother, her response is, "That's not possible. I can't have a child." It makes her sound infertile rather than referencing her vow of virginity. And most shocking of all, her fiat, one of the most important moments in salvation history, is completely missing. No, "Behold the handmaid of the Lord." No, "Let it be done to me according to thy word." Just, "Let it be me." It's the most underwhelming Annunciation scene ever filmed. Then it just goes off the rails. Some girl overhears Mary sharing this news with Anna the prophetess, and Mary gets kicked out for being pregnant. No mention of Gabriel's reassurance that Elizabeth is also miraculously pregnant. No Magnificat, no journey by choice to be with Elizabeth. Instead, Anne tells her to go in secret without telling Joachim, and somehow Mary already knows Elizabeth is pregnant. Even Elizabeth's line, "Who am I that the mother of my Lord should come to me?" is missing. The show is about Mary but barely mentions Jesus. But here's the thing, Mary is honored because she points to Christ. She's special because she is his mother, not the other way around. Unlike the biblical narrative, Joseph doesn't plan to divorce Mary quietly. Instead, there's a public mob, flying rocks, and a rescue mission. Mary gets drugged and kidnapped by the devil while Joseph is out looking for a place in Bethlehem. Then Joseph steals a Roman guard's knife and stabs the devil. Later, they narrowly miss getting killed by Herod's men and escape Egypt. Eventually, it all works out and they manage to bring Jesus safely to the temple, back to where it all started. Now, this Netflix series had potential to become the biblical epic thriller it marketed itself to be. What started as a promising retelling quickly descends into chaos, fiction, and missed opportunities. The show wants to be creative? Fine. But don't claim "you may think you know my story." Trust me, you don't. Only to rewrite salvation history into something unrecognizable. So, if you want to know more about Mary, the mother of Jesus, stick to sacred scripture and the writings of the saints. Just maybe not a Netflix adaptation. So, do I recommend watching this movie? Sure, like if you're just watching it for watching's sake, don't expect anything great out of it. And if you enjoyed watching this breakdown and want to analyze more movies through a Catholic lens, let us know in the comments below. And please drop your suggestions below. What should we watch next or read next? Until next time, stay unapologetically Catholic.